You remember that story when Prabhupada's sister Prishima tried to get around us to get to serve Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was sick, he was ill, and he didn't want, she would cook in mustard oil, and she would cook very spicy, and Prabhupada said, don't let her cook for me, while I'm sick, don't let her cook for me. So she would try to go around. Prabhupada likes you very much, and she would like going after Srila Kirti because he was a servant, and she knew she wasn't going to get past him. so she was trying to come by way of me, and it was.
Yes, I was the one person in the society she didn't like, so I'm sure that's not good for me. She was, yes. So many things happened at that time, and we'll talk about Pishima. It was even before then, when I was in Calcutta with her. We were in Calcutta for about a week, so of course that's where she lived at that time. She was Prabhupada's sister, and Prabhupada definitely treated her like a younger sister. I mean, they had a very wonderful relationship, and they loved each other. She loved Prabhupada so much. She would come into the room, she was like Prabhupada, but if you pushed her down a few inches and spread her out a few, that's what she looked like. But practically the exact same glasses. When you first saw her, you definitely thought, oh my God. It's like, kind of very amazing, that face, And she would come, and she was like a drug trafficker, because she would smuggle mustard oil into the temple, because we didn't have oil. I was the only person that had mustard oil, because I massaged Prabhupada with it. You had mustard oil, no one else had mustard oil. We had ghee, but she knew mustard oil, and she knew the kinds of mustard oils that were used for cooking, what was good, what wasn't good. You can read all that in Jamuna's cookbook. So, and she was very wonderful to all the devotees. But again, Prabhupada would say, my sister is, because she thought she had an open door policy, but Prabhupada didn't like open door policy, even with his sister, or maybe especially with his sister. Whenever she came, he would say, you sit there. He said, even she's my sister. He said, you sit there. So I would sit there. So she was cooking for Prabhupada, and of course Prabhupada liked it. She taught. She was taught by Prabhupada's mother how to cook. So Prabhupada, you like what your mother cooks. Who doesn't like what their mother cooks? So Prabhupada liked it, what his sister cooked. But he couldn't digest it. So by the third day, this is in Calcutta, and I've already had every disease, you could get in India. So I was always sick and never wanted to eat anything like that anymore. After indulging for the first 2 months, I learned my lesson. So I bring in the plate we had prepared, and then I go back in the kitchen and I bring in Pishima's plate, and I'm walking in French doors just like that in the Prabhupada's room, just sitting room, bedroom, one room in Calcutta. So I walk right in, and I don't even get to put the plate down. He said, take it out. He said, you eat it. He said, my sister's trying to kill me. And I immediately said, Prabhupada, I can't eat. Right away, I just, no. I said, I'm not going to eat this, Prabhupada. I said, I can't. He said, well, distribute it. He said, I don't want it. He said, I don't want it. She says, she's trying. He would say, and this is how they talk. This is when you hear Prabhupada's vocabulary sometimes, it doesn't, he would say, she's poisoning me, So you hear these words, you have to consider what Prabhupada's saying. You have to understand how these things will come up. So that's what he said, she's trying to kill me. So of course, I stopped, and of course, and she's upset with me. Then Prabhupada's resting. When Prabhupada rested, after being with him for 8 months, I was resting. If he rested, I rested, because that was your opportunity. So I would lay right in front of those double doors, so no one could even open them. That was the security system. So she would see that, I want to see Prabhupada. She said, Prabhupada, you want to see Prabhupada? Anyway, so yes. Then in Vrindavan, the time he's talking about, so she's there, and this was a little later. She was there, so she's seeing her brother. She's so happy to see Prabhupada. Imagine her position, huh? Just loving your big brother from the moment you're born. That was her position. And so she would sit, and that was in Vrindavan. He said that if she's here, you have to be here. He said, oh, they'll talk. He meant the Goswamis. They'll say he's got a woman. Imagine his sister, but he said they'll talk. That's how careful Prabhupada was in the Dhams. You know, if you want to be in the Dham, you have to be in the Dham. You have to understand you're living in the Dham, not just like you're a Westerner in the Dham and you want to live your lifestyle. He wanted people to respect his disciples because he did. He had faith that we would present ourselves properly, especially in Vrindavan, in Mayapur, like that. So. Anyway, so then we have lunch, and Prabhupada takes rest, so I go in my room to take rest, and there's Pishima in my bed, sleeping in bed in the servants' quarters. So I just went out front, sat on the stoop, you know, it's 120 degrees. You can't even get the benefit of your fan, not air conditioning. So then the afternoon comes, and of course, I was just like, you know, Prabhupada's son. I just go in, Prabhupada, I said, your sister's sleeping in my bed, you know? He just shakes his head. He said, no. He said, she can't do that. Because he's thinking, oh my God, I got a woman sleeping in my quarters. It's his sister. And she was like, just like, you know, like a little baby sleeping in there so nicely, comfortably. So I told him, he said, she can't. He said, tell her. I said, I can't right away. I just, no, Prabhupada. I said, you have to tell her. I said, I can't even speak to her, you know. All right, he said, have her come in. So she comes in, and they're talking, and I'm, of course, sitting there, but I don't understand anything they're saying. And then he looks at me. He said, everything's fixed. He said, don't worry. I said, thank you, Prabhupada. Of course, the next day after lunch, she's sleeping in the bed again. And you just shook my head. So that was that. But that was the lighter moments there. His illness was, like he said,